Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I last uploaded a video, but I'm back here to do the mid-year book freakout tag. I really enjoy watching this video. I've been watching it for many years, so finally I get to do it myself. I really wanted to share with you guys all the books I read so far, and without further ado, let's get to the first question. So the first question is, what's the best book that you have read so far? For me, it is really easy, which is Lonely Castle in the Mirror. I absolutely love this book. If you have been following me on my bookstagram, then you'll notice that I just keep on raving it because it's so good. Okay, so in short, this book is basically about 5 students in Japan. One day they realize that the mirror in their room is able to transport them to a magical castle. So 5 of them become friends there, and you slowly learn about what is actually stopping them from going to school. It have magical realism, it have mystery, there's several plot twists throughout the whole book, but in its essence, it's just a very heartwarming and heartbreaking book talking about school bullies and family abuse. I really love this book. Everyone needs to read it, so yeah. So the second question is, what's the best sequel that you have read so far in 2021? I am not really a person that reads series. The only series that I start this year is the Poppy War, and I haven't read the second and third book, so I can't answer this question. The rest of the book that I read is actually standalone. I read more towards general fiction, so I didn't really read a lot of series. So far, I do not have any favorite series. Yeah. The third question is, what's the new release that you want to read but you haven't get to yet? For me, it is The Transition Baby. So in short, The Transition Baby is about a man that decided to transition to a woman, and then he kind of regretted it. So he decided to de-transition back to a man. And it's about a very complicated relationship between these 3 persons in a relationship. I just felt like it's just unlike anything I heard before, and it's definitely a book that I need to read, and I am sure I will learn a lot from this book. So yeah, I need to get to it as soon as possible. So the fourth question is, what's the most anticipated release for the second half of the year? For me, it is the latest book by Jung-yoon. So Jung-yoon is the author of Shelter, and I read this probably 2 years back, and I absolutely love this book. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and I would say this is one of the best domestic fiction out there, and it's so underrated, so everyone needs to read this, okay? But basically, Jung-yoon is going to release a new book in the second half of this year, so I'm really excited for that. I don't really know what the book is about, except that it has a very pretty cover, and really want to read another book that Jung-yoon writes. So I am pretty excited for that. Number 5 is the biggest disappointment of the year. I have to say that this is definitely not the worst book that I read for this year. It's just a book that disappointed me the most because I have really high hopes for it. A lot of people was praising about it, then it just didn't really hit me, and I didn't really connect to the story itself. It is crying in H mark. Yeah. For me, I just felt like from the start, the writing just didn't really work for me. It was really plain spoken, like the author was just mentioning about her story, and it didn't really write into a story, if that makes sense, because it was just a compilation of all the short stories she wrote for New York Times. It definitely read like a collection of short stories instead of a full memoir. So whenever I felt from like one chapter going to another chapter, I felt like the story didn't really move as a cohesive as a whole. It felt like one chapter, and it felt repetitive at times. So yeah, I'm sorry guys. Number 6 is, what's the biggest surprise for me? For me, it's definitely Lonely Castle in the Mirror, but I don't want to repeat my answer. So the second book that surprised me is Real Life by Brandon Taylor. This just surprised me by how beautiful Brandon Taylor writes. Like, I didn't really know anything, and I tend to skip over all the quotes and what people are talking about. I just know that this is about a black gay guy living in campus, and it's about his struggles. That's all I know. And then when I read it during Pride Month, I was just shocked by how beautifully Brandon writes. I just highlight a lot of the sentence. You can see my tab in yellow. It's just so beautiful, and it's just so heartbreaking. Definitely not a book that you read for the plot. It's a book that you read for Brandon Taylor writing, because he just writes so beautifully. Oh my god, read it. Number 7 is who's your favorite new author? It is either debut or new to me. For me, it is Yu Hua. Yu Hua is definitely one of the most famous author in China, and I finally read his works. Both books, I read them back to back, and I love them a lot. So they were actually translated into English, and this is called Chronicle of a Blood Merchant, and then this is called To Live. Basically, his story are normally set during the Cultural Revolution in China, so you are learning and reading about the struggles of the citizen during that time. But Yu Hua just have a very witty way in his writing, so both of these books are kind of funny, but at the same time, it was just such a dark and sad book. I just love how he's able to like balance humor and dark times together. And if you guys really want to read books about China history, definitely read his works. I have another 2 works on my shelf that I still need to read. So yeah, he's definitely one of my favorite authors of all time for now, because I love both of his works. Number 8 is newest fictional crush. I read mostly general fiction and historical fiction, and to be honest, I didn't really crush on any of them. I used to crush a lot when I read young adult contemporary and also young adult fantasy many years back, but recently reading all these kind of heavier books, I just don't really crush on anyone right now. So yeah. So number 9 is who's your newest favorite character? For me, it is Naoko from Naoko by Keigo Higashino. So the title of the book and the character is the same name, which is called Naoko. In short, this is one of the weirdest books that I have read, and the character just really stuck with me. This book is about a mother and a daughter that went into an accident, and then the mother passed away during the accident, and the daughter get into coma for a few days or few months. I can't remember that, but when she wake up as the mother. She proclaims that she is the mother, and Naoko is the name of the mother. So we just learn how this interaction goes on between the daughter / mother with the husband, and it's just such weird book, and it's just really uncomfortable from start to end, because it is like an old lady soul living inside a young body, and then you can see like how the husband sometimes crave for sex. It's definitely one of the most disturbing books I've read so far, but the character itself was just so interesting, and the ending was just crazy. Like, I was shocked by the ending. So you guys need a very weird, disturbing book, like those typical Japanese book, but this is really another level kind of craziness. If you guys love those craziness in Japanese literature, then you guys will definitely enjoy this book. So number 10 is a book that make you cry. For me, I don't really cry on books, and so far none of the books really made me cry, but there are some books that make me feel depressed for a while. One of them is nonfiction, which is not made in China. So this book is basically a biography about a guy which is a Falun Gong practitioner, and he was forced into labor camp for his belief. So we learn about the struggles, the torture that he undergoes during the labor camp, and it was just so heartbreaking. It just really opened my eyes about how crazy all these conglomerates was just trying to squeeze everyone out to earn money. And it's definitely an eye-opening book about labor camps and about the process of manufacturing. So yeah. And another book that broke me while reading is definitely Real Life. I'm just not going to repeat it. This is just such a sad and beautiful book, and people should read it. So yeah. So number 11 is a book that made me happy. This book is not necessarily a book that made me happy. It's a book that made me laugh, but after laugh, I just felt really sad, if that makes sense. It is Interior Chinatown. This is just such a hilarious book. I was just laughing in each line, but whenever I finished laughing, I was just hit by how Asian is actually struggling in living in America. So yeah, it's just a very happy book in the surface, but it's actually a very serious and sad book under the surface, if that makes sense. Would definitely recommend this. This is definitely one of my favorite books that I've read this year too. So yeah. So number 11 is the most beautiful book that I have received or buy. For me, it is Blackwater Sister. I just love this cover a lot. Like the artwork, this woman, this Blackwater Sister was just so beautiful. I just can't stop admiring her face because it is so beautiful, and the color, I just really love like books that have purple, bluish cover. Like they just look so pretty. Like purple and blue just look so pretty on the cover. So like some other blue books that I really love is Shelter and also White Princess Platinum. I just felt like blue just looks so good on the book cover. So yeah, so the most prettiest cover I have this year is definitely Blackwater Sister. So number 13 is what books do I need to read by the end of the year? There are a lot, I would say, but there are a few priorities. So I'm hoping to finish the Poppy Wall by end of the year. So I need to read the second book and the third book, which is so huge. But I wanted to finish it by this year. So yeah, and then some other books that I really want to read by the end of the year are books that I borrowed from my friend Leona. So the first is The Mountain Sings. I do not have the cover, but The Mountain Sings, and Erotic Story for Punjabi Video. So these two are books that I hope to finish because I borrowed it from my friend. So yeah, and another book that I really want to read by end of the year is Black Box. Basically a non-fiction book about a Japanese woman experience of sexual harassment and how it sparked the movement in Japan. I felt this is just one of the most important books I need to read. So yeah. So we have come to the end of the book tag. Definitely let me know if you have read any of these books. Do we have the same thought or we have different thoughts? And definitely share with me your favorite books that you have read so far. Until then, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.